To go back to your question about intuition on demand and coming up with solutions to puzzles, I was instantly reminded of one of my favourite short chapters from Richard Carlson's book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, which is called Experiment with Your Back Burner. So I'm just going to read this to you, James. Da-da-da. Here we go. Your back burner is an excellent tool for remembering a fact or bringing forth an insight. It's an almost effortless yet effective way of using your mind when you might otherwise start feeling stressed out. Using your back burner means allowing your mind to solve a problem while you are busy doing something else here in the present moment. And when he says allowing your mind, you know, what for me, he's pointing to this. He's pointing to life. He's saying allow life to come up with the, you know, it's almost like I need a solution to this puzzle. I don't have the answer. I don't have access. Even if the answer's in there, I don't really have access to it right now. So, hey life, can you solve this problem for me? The back burner of your mind works in the same way as the back burner of a stove. While on low heat, the cooking process mixes, blends and simmers the ingredients into a tasty meal. The way you prepared this meal was to throw the various ingredients into the pot, mix them up and leave them alone. Often, the less you interfere, the better the result. In much the same way, we can solve many of life's problems, serious or otherwise, trivial puzzles or really difficult work situations, if we feed the back burner of our mind with a list of problems, facts and variables and possible solutions. Just as when we make a soup or a sauce, the thoughts and ideas we feed the back burner of our mind must be left alone to simmer properly. Whether you are struggling to solve a problem or can't remember a person's name, your back burner is always available to help you. You cannot be separate from the universal mind, from the energy of life. Your separation from God is an illusion. It puts our quieter, softer, and sometimes most intelligent source of thinking to work for us on issues that we have no immediate answer for. The back burner is not a prescription for denial or procrastination. In other words, while you do want to put your problems on your back burner, you don't want to turn the burner off. Instead, you want to gently hold the problem in your mind without actively analysing it. This simple technique will help you solve many problems and will greatly reduce the stress and effort in your life. And that is, I think, quite possibly the best chapter of that entire book. And I read this book years and years and years ago. Actually, I didn't read this book years and years and years ago. I listened to an audio. I had an audio called Creating Miracles Every Day, in which he mentions the back burner. And I didn't really think much of it at the time. And yet, when I rediscovered it, literally 15 years later, my jaw dropped when I listened to it, because so many of the metaphors that Richard Carlson used in that audio had become an integral part of my life, and I hadn't even noticed. And the back burner was one of them. I love this metaphor of the back burner, and personal examples of me using the back burner are writing articles. So I have to write an article every month for the Focus magazine. I have a topic in advance that I've decided, and as the deadline approaches, I want to be having some ideas about what to write about. And the timescale, again, James, the timescale's it's very fluid. Some dishes take a long time to cook, others don't take long at all. I'm a huge fan of cooking curries, and some of those dishes I can knock up in half an hour. Some of them take 6 hours, okay? But writing an article or preparing for a Wellbeing Wednesdays, or even, you know, if I've had an inquiry that's come through to my coaching practice from somebody who's given me some details, and then we've arranged a first appointment. So, you know, some facts have gone in there, either knowing what the article's about, knowing the kind of topic that I'm going to be discussing with a new client, that sort of thing. I've observed that my mind is like a dog with a bone. It really, really wants to spend a lot of time thinking about these things. It really does. And I've just learned over the years, just from trial and error, and honestly, I think this is the only thing that you can do really, is to look at your own experience as to how things have worked out for you in the past. For me, I've noticed that I can think about these things a lot, but it doesn't really seem to achieve anything. Whereas if I just hold them really gently, and again, it's not denial, it's not procrastination. Oh God, the mind loves to say, like even today, preparing for this evening, I didn't really have a lot of time to prepare. And yet, I knew what the topic was going to be about, and every now and again, you know, something would come to me, and maybe I'd like scribble down one tiny little note or something, and then I'd just leave it alone. Leave it alone. The mind had spent the day wanting to pull me away from what I was doing, from other things, and when I gently dismissed it, it came up with another thing, because it's bloody persistent. Like, what was it Eckhart Tolle said? The stream of thinking has enormous momentum that can easily drag you along with it. Every thought pretends that it matters so much. Well, Giles, you haven't prepared properly for Wellbeing Wednesday was a thought that pretended to be really, really important. And when I gently dismissed it, it started saying things like, well, you're just procrastinating now, mate. Oh my God, it's endless. It never ends. It never ends. So yeah, back burner, mate. I'm glad I had the opportunity to share it with you.